Hi, I'm Dr. Lance Knaub. Welcome to Moving Mountains. I'm here today with my friend Peter Mangiola, founder of Perfected Health and also the CIO of True Direct Home Healthcare.
That's right.
Peter, it's about time we get you in here, my friend.
Oh my God, excited to be here.
Yeah, you know, I was trying to think about how we first met each other. We were saying we think it's through, we're pretty sure it's Larry Rafkin.
Right.
I can remember, when he brought you over to Breakthrough in Medford.
Right.
And we sat in our little mini conference room up front and you were a ball of energy as usual.
And it was, and he had so many marketing ideas, and I met your marketer, and I was like bonging off the wall in terms of which direction to go. You guys had a great plan, and you executed it incredibly.
Oh, thank you. Yeah, you were saying, Jessie DePrince was, amazingly talented. So she was doing a great job. So let's tell everybody who doesn't know about you and your journey and your story,
Sure.
And then where we are right now to, multiple, companies, and you've had exits. So tell us everything.
Well, I started. I'm a registered nurse, almost 35 years.
Okay.
And I started. I think what led me into nursing, I got hit by a car when I was 7, had multiple surgeries. Was in a hip spica cast, if you remember what those things were. Up one leg, around the other, with a bar in between, and that made me want to go into nursing. And I went into nursing, and it was just amazing. And what nursing did was give me I always had the entrepreneurial bug. I think my mom taught me that. She always made me talk about investing in real estate and being diverse about having different strategies, and she was my inspiration. So I after a couple of surgeries and getting everything straightened out, I went into nursing, and nursing gave me the pulpit to branch out and to really educate a lot of people about the different aspects of healthcare. There's not just one size fits all. There's so many components to it. I went into real estate. One of my big ventures was 726 Market Street. In 2005, I purchased it for $5.8 million, and it went. This is one of my mistakes. I'm telling you, one of my mistakes.
Okay.
And it was.
We make them. Lessons learned.
It was. I wanted to make 48 condos, and I got everything approved, but it just wasn't. The timing wasn't right. And a couple years later, it popped and it resold, and I got out with pretty much what I put into it. But if it would have popped, I would have been the owner of like 48 condos. But it was okay because it was a lesson learned in how you have to have every part of the puzzle covered when you're going to do a venture like that.
Right.
And it introduced me to so many talented people, realtors, architects, developers. And so I stayed with the real estate bug, and my partner Ralph and I, we bought like 5 properties in Center City, and we developed them. I remember we bought one property for $80,000 at 726 South 10th Street, and it was 4 bi-level apartments, and now I think the value of it is probably like 1.8. It just went up exponentially, and I learned, so I learned to diversify that way. I learned to use real estate as a tool. Then I had a love for teaching people about healthcare, and really, I've learned with nursing. I've learned from the best. Like your association with Dr. Bartolozzi. I learned from Dr. Marshalinsky, who was the top electrophysiologist in the world.
Right.
I learned from Dr. Lichtenstein, who was the top Crohn's disease person in the world from Penn. And this is all from, they threw me in when you were an agency nurse, they kind of throw you into assignments, kind of like a body, but you just either assimilate and learn or just flounder. And I just kind of assimilated and learned and got everything going, and it gave me a knowledge base to look at every aspect of healthcare in terms of from head to toe, and just use the mind. I think I use the mindset now that I want to teach people about prevention.
Right.
Like Dr. Peter Attia's book, Outlive.
Right.
I want to make sure that I tell people, because medicine spends so much money on treating what happens as opposed to preventing what could happen.
Right.
and that's what I'm really excited about.
Yeah, and tell us about your home care company. You didn't even mention that.
Oh, sorry, got a little off.
That's okay, and I love the investing
Yeah,
and the real estate
yeah.
because,
I went
for
to-
everyone listening, that's part of, not just traditional stock market investing.
Right. And so then after being a nurse for like 25 years, I decided to go into own my own company, and I went to Ocean County where there's 800,000 seniors over the age of 85.
Okay.
And so I went from Barnegat all the way up to Point Pleasant.
Okay.
So I had like 60 cities, and I had an office in Mount Holly and an office in Toms River.
Okay.
And we just and it's funny because you become when you I had 300 employees. We had I think I did sales about $4 million on an average income of $20 an hour.
Wow.
Which is hard to do.
Yeah.
I mean, and it was all private pay. There was no insurance.
Okay.
And very once in a while you got long-term care insurance, but very few.
Yeah.
And it wasn't really that out back then as much as it is today.
Right.
And so I used that to grow the company and make relationships with hospice, with all the different modalities, physical therapists. I even thought outside the box when I even used my company to help people that just had babies that needed help. Maybe their parents weren't there. We sent our aides to help new moms that had a C-section to give them care, and it worked like a charm. And then we were referred back and back because we made that relationship. They remembered us when their grandparents or their parents were sick.
Yeah.
So it was a great win-win for me, and it taught me a lot. I started it in 2007, right before the recession hit.
Yeah.
And then I sold it in 2014 for a profit, which was absolutely fantastic.
That's actually what I wanted to talk to you about next. Nice job, and it's so good to learn more about you and your journey. How do entrepreneurs know when it's time to sell, when it's time to exit their exit plan, their succession plan, when it's time to move on to something next?
That's a great question because I think it's you really have your pulse on the market and you have a gut feeling, and I knew for where I was, Ocean County had limited amount of caregivers, and there was only going to be so many that were, it wasn't like there was a lot of young people in Ocean County. It was mostly seniors and mostly people retired, early retirees. And I saw the market changing where that's when they introduced Medicaid was paying people to take care of their kids or to take care of their parents. And that market boomed. And that's where I knew it was time for me to get out of the private pay industry, because the future was letting people that have Medicaid get paid for taking care of the people they love. And that market boomed.
Why don't you keep going?
Sorry. And then so consequently I moved forward. That was like the writing on the wall, and it was a gut feeling. I just knew that we had to transition, and that's when I showed up I met up with people from True Direct, and they were doing fabulously with custodial care.
Doc Perry, right?
Yeah,
We were just
Doc
talking
Perry
about him.
from True Direct, and he's been a tremendous. The name of the company is True Direct, and that's exactly what he is. He's true and direct to all his clients and all his people. Yeah. And he wanted to start a skilled care company, and so he can bring his brand of excellence not only to custodial but to the skilled population, which I think he's doing a great job.
Okay. Yeah, I mean, so many people are being referred to me lately who are, have good companies and are considering exits. And it's a tough thing, right? So, now you're, and I remember for you were trying to think about whether you go back into healthcare, home healthcare, and just figuring out your next move. And now you've landed and you're fully immersed, and it sounds like you're satisfied and you're getting fulfillment in a lot of ways.
Absolutely.
But it's a big decision, and definitely for me, I can speak personally. There's definitely some seller's remorse for most people most of the time, especially founders, entrepreneurs.
Right.
So. Yeah, I'm glad you kind of shared some of that to help people, because I do feel like you have to have your vision and try to take it there. But
and I think what I like about when you made that decision.
Because who was it that you sold to?
I sold to actually another senior helper franchisee.
Senior helper.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. and he's doing. I think he's doing pretty well with it, but
Okay.
he already had like 7 other offices, so it was just adding to his conglomerate, kind of.
Okay.
And but I think you really have to be give into your vulnerability and be able to know you're making the right decision.
Yeah.
And you know, and it's like when you try to hoard power, it never goes anywhere. But when you share it, it just keeps growing.
That's a piece of gold right there. So I always love to ask all the successful entrepreneurs we have on Moving Mountains, you know, you had successful exits and 4 million in revenue and, you know, really doing well in so many ways. But how have you gotten through the low points, the challenging points, the rock bottom points, you know, and especially having a traumatic, you know, accident when you got hit by the car?
Yeah, you know, it's the belief and the trust in your core vision, and you know that what you've been doing, it's just a matter. It's patience, and it's perseverance, and my doc always used to tell me I was an overachiever.
Yeah.
So I just knew that I don't quit on anything, and I just keep going. And I think you just have that stick to it attitude where, you know, even though there's going to be really dark times, but you're going to work through them, and if you work through them, you grow.
Yeah.
And that's basically what was my philosophy, that I know it was going to be rough, but it wasn't going to stay that way. And I knew, and my vision, the vision kind of like leads you, you know, because once you believe in something, it pulls you. You don't have to pull it.
Yeah, that sounds like Steve Jobs. Yeah, anything from like mindset and the mental, you know, toughness and resilience that you can share?
You know, I think...
and even just to, you know, because so many people, if they had an accident that really changed their life as a child, wouldn't present it so positively as you did, you know, during your story.
I think I had, it was a pretty rough experience, but I knew that wasn't defining who I was.
Yeah.
It was weird. That accident actually helped me. It helped me socially, in terms of socialization, because I was sent to a rehab hospital in Atlantic City.
Yeah.
With 6, it was a 6 ward unit, and I was one of the 6 kids, and I was 13 years old, and you get thrown into an environment with all kids from all different parts of the country, and you just have to either assimilate or flounder. And I just I stuck it out, and you know, my parents were 60 miles away because they were in Philadelphia.
Yeah.
And it made me stronger, and it gave me the resilience to know that it's like that book, Everything is Figure-outable. It's true. If you just hang in there and you really trust your gut and believe in yourself, it shines through, and it makes you get to the other side, and then you realize that you've accomplished something that, you know, that few people can.
Yeah. So talk to us about how we're going to take a quick break and thank our sponsors. Then I'm going to have you speak to us about how you avoid burnout and stay healthy, and especially juggling all these balls, including a family.
Sure.
So everybody stay tuned, and we'll be right back. We're going to take a quick break and thank our sponsors.
Explore, enjoy, experience Mercer County. Picture yourself here. Explore, enjoy, experience Mercer County. Picture yourself here. Explore, enjoy, experience Mercer County. Picture yourself here. Explore, enjoy, experience Mercer County.
Hi, I'm Dr. Lance Knaub. Welcome back to Moving Mountains. I'm here today with my friend Peter Mangiola. Peter, so much good stuff. I really want to ask you how you stay healthy and so energetic. I always love to know how entrepreneurs avoid burnouts, like
Absolutely.
really, from a lifestyle standpoint as well. And always specifically, I like to know how much sleep people get. Talk to us.
Well, sleep is really important to me. I try to get at least 7. My wife thinks I sleep too much, but
Never heard that before.
but I always try to get at least 7 to 8 hours a night.
Oh, fantastic.
Because it's really important.
Yeah.
And I think my burnout, I avoid burnout because I stay curious and I stay curious and I want to learn all the time. I want to learn new things and I want to find out. I'm a details guy. I want to find out what makes things work. And so I try constantly to stay on the edge of, and I have great friends that give me lots of advice that, like, my best friend is Dr. John Powers. He's one of the preeminent infectious disease doctors, and I run everything by him. I say, John, what do you think about this? And he talks to me, and we go back and forth, and we both have that energy where we want to be the best version of ourselves always. Yeah. And I actually talked him into doing some meditation, which was funny.
Oh, wow, that's new for him?
Yeah. He's not a meditation guy.
Okay.
And I use an app, and it was really cool. And it gives you that, it walks you through trying to get focused and centered, and it really helps me.
What app are you guys using?
I'm using Balance. It's a great app. It gives you a year free, and then after that you decide if you want to come on or not.
Okay.
And it really works really well.
Yeah, I really want to get deeper into meditation. I just do a short one, Andrew Huberman's space-time bridging. It's very easy. Start off eyes closed to eyes opened, and kind of move your center from inside your body, interoceptive to exteroceptive, and
Exactly.
But I really want to,
meditation
study
is
it
really,
more.
and it can really center you. Like when you're having a bad day, you take a deep breath.
Yeah.
And you just really you blow in and you just hold it and you let it go, and you feel, and it brings you back to center, and it really does, like, it almost revive you a little bit.
Yeah.
And I try to do that, and I've been working out at your gym, as you know, with Steve, and just being able to stay as movement is everything.
Yeah.
And it kind of like helps me with my energy, because when I get that energy, I got to keep moving and I got to keep doing stuff. So it's like, and I think it's a little bit of my ADHD too. I want to always want to be challenging, going to my next challenge, and I have to make sure I stay centered, and that's what meditation helps me with that.
Okay, I love it. Well, you're doing all the right things from a lifestyle standpoint for sure. So what would you say is your intrinsic motivation at this stage of your life? And
well, my daughter just got married, so
congrats.
I'm really excited about that, and I just want to be able to, because they don't have, I think young people today are very challenged because they don't have the opportunities that we had when we were younger, in terms of interest rates being lower and availability of housing, and so to try to keep them motivated and try to keep them focused and try to let them know that there's a way. You just have to keep plugging in, and I always tell them, pay themselves first.
I love that.
Make sure you always. Whenever you start a job, I don't care. You don't know what the paycheck's going to be. Take 10% and put it into a fund.
Yeah.
I always tell them to pay themselves first, and be supportive. And so I guess right now what I'm trying to do is, with reaching people, I'm trying to let them know that there's. I'm trying, like, what I like about, I want to be like a holistic focus on when I take care of patients, letting them know, every little thing matters. Making the appointment matters. Staying focused. Staying on task. Making sure your medicines are not running out. Stuff like that. Just the little stuff. Almost like being a care management for them from soup to nuts.
Yeah.
And that way they stay focused and they see the little nuances can make a big difference.
Well, that makes me think about, I know you've got a couple passions really, right? And helping,
Autistic kids.
yeah.
Yeah.
Tell us about your passion for that. And
My best friend John Powers has 2 autistic kids.
Yeah.
And he's and his wife is a pediatrician, and they've inspired me to, because when kids age out on the spectrum, there's really not anywhere for them to go. There's there's 10-year waiting list for housing, and we're trying to work with the different nonprofits to see if we can hopefully make housing more available.
Yeah.
And that's one of my passions, besides helping seniors live their best life and not to exist but to thrive.
Yeah, I love it. We didn't get to talk about your book, right?
Right.
Yeah, well, tell us about your book. We should have it here to show everybody.
It's 7 Causes of Caregiver Guilt.
Okay.
And I had that because I took care of my mom who had dementia, and you feel guilty because you think you want to give her the best care, but you're not sure you're doing all that you can do for her.
Yeah.
And it kind of hits you, and you have to work through that. You have to work through the emotion of feeling guilty versus looking at the whole picture and saying, am I really doing everything I can for her?
Yeah.
Am I doing everything? And you know what? When you look at it and you follow through on all the different nuances of dementia brings to a family, you really understand that the guilt's coming from just your insecurity and just from the fact that it's something you don't know what you don't know, and you're still trying to figure it out. And I worked with Teepa Snow. She was an occupational therapist who told me, you have to. I couldn't understand why my mom, who had vascular dementia, couldn't recognize me anymore. And she said, Peter, she doesn't know the Peter that's older. She knows the Peter that was 10.
Right.
Because she has no short-term memory.
Okay.
And that made me realize that you have to be in front of them at their level.
Yeah.
And you got to understand that you feel guilty because you feel like you're not doing enough, but it's a really complex disease process that only gets worse. And I'm hoping to make the caregivers who really burn out from it, I'm trying to give them as much support and help. And that's why I write. I was writing for MariaShriver.com, and I was writing caregiver articles on grieving for a loved one, losing a loved one to dementia.
Yeah.
And I've always done that.
And that's what sparked the book?
Yep.
Okay. So for all of our listeners who are really trying to create businesses that have value and sell them or keep them and write books and all the things that you've done, what's your best boiled down advice so they can achieve the highest levels of success?
Well, I think it's first you have to believe in yourself. It's being vulnerable, test your vulnerabilities, lean in it with your vulnerability, and follow your dream. And absolutely, you've taught me this, have a plan. You need a business plan.
Yeah.
You absolutely need a business plan. And if you get it on paper, it starts to develop. And then if you don't deviate from that plan, it's going to be successful if you have a good idea.
Yeah, I've just learned, I just made a social media post myself about the 2 most unsexy and unpopular words in business plan. So how can everyone find the book, follow you, and all your causes and passions?
My website is TrueDirect homehealthcare.com. They can find me at Twitter at Peter Mangiola. I'm on LinkedIn. They could look up my articles online, and I'm available on Instagram as well.
Okay, what's your Instagram handle? Same?
Same.
Okay. Peter, thank you so much for coming in, sharing your story and all your life lessons and so much value. So we appreciate it.
Thanks, Lance. It's been my pleasure.
Yeah, thank you. All right, everybody, thank you for tuning in. Please join us again next week for our next episode of Moving Mountains.